Hey guys, Edgar92106 here, and it's been a while since I've done this in an actual video. Today I would like to return discussing the topic of The Last of Us Part 2. Nearly a year ago I made a video talking about the retrospective of The Last of Us 1 and 2, and I gave my thoughts and opinions on those two games. I recently rewatched it and replayed The Last of Us Part 2, and I feel as if I had been a little unfair in my review on Part 2. Okay, more than a little. Oh, freaking K, a lot! I was very biased with The Last of Us 2, as there was so much that I was looking past in terms of story because of the fact that I disliked some of the decisions that were taken for the story. After replaying The Last of Us 2, I gained a new perspective on the game and its story. Before I dive into this though, I would like to issue a quick spoiler warning on the game if you haven't played it, so be warned. I'll give you like a couple of seconds to pause it and exit the video. After the amazing 10+ hour ride of the first game, I, and the majority of the Last of Us fan base, expected that the sequel would give us what the first game gave us and more. More clickers, zombies, this gigantic blob, more lovable characters, and more Joel and Ellie bonding moments. That last one especially! Everyone, including myself, was expecting to see more of the beautiful relationship between these two characters, more of the father-daughter relationship and dynamic of these two characters. However, this didn't happen in Part 2. We got a few cutscenes and flashbacks of Joel and Ellie spending time with each other, but the second game focuses more on the journey of Abby and Ellie. And then Joel, the person that we the players spent more than 10 hours playing as and empathizing with, was killed within the first 2 hours of this game in a brutal way. I think this was one of the major things that affected my final thoughts on the game because of the fact that I didn't receive as much story with Joel as I thought I would. It made me feel disappointed, which led to me being unfair in my review. Then again, PlayStation and Naughty Dog themselves put out trailers that misled the fans on Joel being in the story later in the game, but it was actually Jesse. But hey, I'ma just chill! I mean, Marvel does this same thing for their movies, like editing out certain characters from trailers for surprises in the actual movie, but frick, man. They really led us to believe at first that Joel would be in this game a little bit more. But I completely understand that they were trying to focus more on Ellie and new characters. They should have marketed it like that, like it was just gonna be Ellie and new characters. I should have gone into this with some low expectations to not get myself too hyped up only to be possibly disappointed in something later on. Like Kratos said,
keep your expectations low, Prey, and you will never be disappointed.
Don't get me wrong, Naughty Dog produces amazing games, and the previous The Last of Us was astonishing and set the bar high, but I should have considered the possibility that Naughty Dog was gonna try new things story-wise in the new installment, and they were gonna try and take risks, some stuff that maybe the fans wouldn't have liked, which probably meant that Ellie and Joel weren't gonna share a lot of scenes together. Due to the attachment that I had with the characters of Joel and Ellie, I was so pissed off with the things Joel and Ellie went through because of the Wolf Foundation and Abby. As soon as I was forced to play as Abby for the second half of the game, I found myself groaning and having bias against Abby, even though she was trying to redeem herself. I mean, there were some times where her and Lev and Yara were spending time with each other and she actually cared for Yara and Lev. I actually hesitated on empathizing and actually trying to like Abby for some reason because of what she did with Joel. But the thing is, she killed Joel for a reason. She killed him to avenge her father after the massacre at the hospital at the end of the first game. It wasn't like Abby was some murdering psychopath who did things for no reason and with no remorse. When we start playing as Abby, we go back to the scene with Joel's death. We open through her eyes. We open with her face telling the story of a person who feels mixed emotions. You can just see it because of her facial expressions. She's angry at the man below her because he took her father away from her, but also feels sad and hesitant because she will be taking a father figure from someone else, Ellie. Abby is a very complex character who has a lot of layers, and she doesn't deserve a lot of the hate that she got when this game released. I should have been a little bit more open-minded towards this new character. Laura Bailey did a phenomenal job as Abby's voice actress, and so did everyone else, but Lara especially nailed her role as the anti-hero of this game. She definitely deserved that win at the Game Awards of 2020. Revenge is a prevalent theme that is explored and expanded upon in this game. Actually, it's what this game revolves around, really. Abby and the Wolves wanted to kill Joel to seek revenge for Abby's father, and Joel's death caused Ellie to go down the same path of revenge to kill the Wolves and Abby. After the 3-day period, Abby comes back to kill Ellie and avenge her friends, but she doesn't. Lev tells her to stop, and Abby decides to just break the cycle of vengeance. Ellie, being haunted by the fact that Joel's killer is still out there, she decides to go after Abby to finish the job. What happened next was what everyone, including myself, at first was so infuriated with. Ellie and Abby have this huge climactic and emotional fight. Ellie has the chance to kill the person who took Joel away from her and end it once and for all. But she doesn't. Just like Abby previously, she stops and lets Abby and Lev live. Ellie comes back home with less fingers and nobody at home. This ending made me feel so empty and sad, which affected my final thoughts and opinions on the game. After I just beat the game, I just put the game in its case, started thinking about some other games to play, and I put it away. But then I was reminded of a game I had played just a few months prior. At around March, one of my friends had let me borrow their copy of Red Dead Redemption 2, and I finally got around to play and experience this amazing game. Let me know if you guys want to see a video on this, because I would love to make a video on this. Oh my god! This game followed the story of a man named Arthur Morgan, who was in a gang of outlaws. Without spoiling anything, the story was about Arthur slowly changing and realizing what was wrong with the world, what was wrong and what was right. But even early in the game, he said something that his mentor had taught him that really made me realize something about The Last of Us 2.
You best stick to them books, because mark my words on this. Vengeance is an idiot's game.
This right here correlated to the theme of The Last of Us 2. It made me realize that Ellie sparing Abby was more than just about forgiving her, but also about breaking the endless cycle of revenge, just as Abby did prior at the theater. This is the whole reason that Dina was irritated with Ellie and Tommy, because they were going to go down an infinite and depressing road of revenge, which would only put them and their loved ones in danger. From this perspective, you can see why Dina is frustrated with Ellie and Tommy. One of my friends even admitted that she started liking Abby more than she liked Ellie, because Abby had been redeemed in her eyes, as she spared Ellie and was prepared to die to protect Lev at the end of the game. At the end of the day, Abby wasn't evil, but she was a very broken person who wanted to avenge her father. But she realized that this was a mistake, as this only created an endless cycle of nothing but revenge. Either could be the villain or hero, depending on how you look at it. But in reality, they are just people that are trying to do whatever they can to survive in this post-apocalyptic world. I understood that just because the ending of the second part was a bit more depressing, it doesn't mean that it was a bad ending. In my opinion, after reflecting on it, I thought this was a good ending that was appropriate to what story Naughty Dog was trying to tell. As I said in my previous video of The Last of Us, this game looks visually beautiful and is a definite big improvement upon the first game. It has a really ruthless and realistic combat system, and it has an amazing soundtrack to accompany the game. But after playing the game for a second time, I believe that it was necessary to look at this game's story again through a different lens and figure out why I dislike this game. It really wasn't a bad story, but I do believe that the execution of the story could have been improved. With how they told Ellie's story first and then Abby's story, they should have just done it simultaneously, like alternating. Other than that, I do believe that the story of this game is much better than a 1-star, 2-star, and even a 3-star review, which was what I gave it in my previous review. I personally think that the story of this game deserves a solid 4.5 stars. And that's it for this video. Please like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know in the comments below, what are your opinions on this game? Has your opinion changed? Why or why not? Also, let me know in the comments below if you guys are looking forward to the new The Last of Us live action series that's coming to HBO Max. And I will see you all in the next video. Take care.